Next question comes from Matt. I often hear that Fidelity estimates that a retired couple will need $285,000 to cover healthcare costs. Do you know if this number is an average total amount spent over the course of retirement, or would this be how much is recommended to have saved at the beginning of retirement? Secondly, Fidelity gives out the rule of thumb that one should save 10 times their income for retirement. For the median U.S. household, that's over $565,000. Does this figure include the healthcare estimate, or would one need to save for the estimated healthcare costs on top of that 10x earnings? Finally, do you know if either of these figures assume long-term care insurance? I know rules of thumb are just that, and it's better to talk to a financial professional to figure out my unique position, but all the same, any insight you can provide would help me relax.
Well, I reached out to Fidelity to get the answer to this question, just to make sure I understood it. So the $285,000, that's for a married couple. So it's about half of that each for if you're single, a little bit more for females because they live longer. But it is the total amount spent over your retirement. Ideally, it is better to have that saved up before you retire, but you can get by having less than that as long as that amount grows enough to cover those costs over the course of your retirement. That 10 times your savings guideline for how much you should have before you retire, that is inclusive of the medical care. That's the good news. The one thing I want to point out, though, is that 10 times assumes you retire at age 67, which is actually higher than the average retirement age these days. So according to Fidelity's guidelines, if you're 62 and you want to retire, you should have 14 times your salary. And if you're retiring at age 65, it should be 12 times your salary. So I always worry about that with this 10 times guideline. People think I could retire at age 62 at 10 times. You actually should have more. It is important to point out that that healthcare estimate does not, it covers Medicare premiums, out-of-pocket costs for lots of medical stuff. It does not include the things that are not included in Medicare, which includes dental and hearing aids and stuff like that. So Medicare doesn't cover that, and that's not included in Fidelity's estimate. And then finally, neither is long-term care. Long-term care is not covered in that $285,000 or in that savings guideline. So if you think it's possible you'll need long-term care, and most people should assume they'll need a little bit, you actually should have even more saved up.